What is going on, boys? And today I got a fun idea video here for you guys, and I will be predicting WrestleMania 42 1 year early. So all I have to go off of is Raw after Mania and the SmackDown after Mania. So only 2 shows after WrestleMania 41. I have to, that's the only information I guess you could say I could use to try to predict WrestleMania 42. Alright, boys, so the first one I got up, I'm actually going to start with the main event of WrestleMania 42 itself, which will be Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship. In my opinion, John Cena's last match will be against Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship belt. I think Cody Rhodes will win it back from him. I think Cody Rhodes will be going on vacation for a little while until, around December, which will be, John Cena's last month of wrestling of all time. I think this is, they set up the Cody Rhodes, John Cena final match here. Cody wins it back from him, gets the belt back. It's a full circle moment. And then Cody Rhodes will carry that on to WrestleMania 42. But they even teased it this year for WrestleMania 41 of CM Punk possibly winning the Elimination Chamber. So versus Cody, right? Because whoever won the Elimination Chamber this year will be versing Cody Rhodes. Because before the Chamber, Jey Uso already picked Gunther. So I feel like the two favorites out of that one was for sure CM Punk and John Cena. But I think it was obviously had to be John Cena being his last WrestleMania. But they have been teasing this a lot. And even ever since CM Punk returned at Survivor Series, they've been, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk been having their segments. As we know, they're really good friends, but at the end of the day, as we've seen with some of their promos, they have been very competitive, being like the top guy and who is better. So there's a lot of story they can work with here, and I think CM Punk, deserves the true main event spot. Now, I'd still consider Night 1 main event, but at the end of the day, I feel like most fans consider Night 2 main event, obviously, the main event of the WrestleMania show. So yes, he finally got his main event out of WrestleMania at Night 1, but he's never had a Night 2, the main event moment. I think this would be an awesome opponent to have. And I know a lot of people assume Randy Orton would verse Cody Rhodes, but I still feel like Randy Orton's going to be a babyface all year this year. I still think they're going to delay that, so maybe WrestleMania 43 or like a SummerSlam or something. I could see a Cody and Randy Orton, but I don't think quite yet. And I think, like I said, I think this is a money match. This will be a banger match. Like I said, the story they could do with these two being friends for several years, I think this would cook. So this is my prediction as the main event of WrestleMania 42, starting off with a banger here. Now, obviously, there's two guys currently running WWE and carrying WWE right now. As we know, Cody Rhodes is one. We just named his match. But there's a second guy. I think we all know who I'm talking about, the Tribal Chief himself, Roman Reigns. So who is Roman Reigns going to be versing at WrestleMania 42? Because there's no chance Roman Reigns is going to miss the WrestleMania card. So here's what I'm thinking. I know we've been saying this for this will be the 4th year in a row now, but I'm thinking Roman Reigns versus not John Cena, The Rock. Now, I know we all been thinking about this for 4 years now. We all been saying this for 4 years. Roman Reigns, The Rock. But I think this is finally happening. And now, here's the thing. They'll probably tease it again. There's a chance they'll probably talk about it again. And knowing The Rock, 2 weeks ahead of WrestleMania, he'll be like, nah, I can't make it. And they're going to have to put Roman Reigns in a random match or something. I don't know. But I'm just praying it finally happens. Whether I dislike The Rock as a person or not, I still like him as a wrestler. I still like his character. I still like the Final Boss character. And it's still a dream match to see Roman Reigns and The Rock go at it for maybe the true head of the table, which will be a fun little match. This is a money match, obviously. So I know this is the 4th WrestleMania. We've been saying this crap, but I don't care, bro. I don't care. It just needs to happen. I might be wrong on this prediction, but I'm going at it. Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Alright, so let's get a girls match in here. We got 2 men matches out the way, so only fair to add a women's match. And the number one women's match I can think of that could almost 92% happen next year, I know that's a random percentage, is Bianca versus Jade. I feel like everyone's been wanting this since Jade, entered, debated at the Royal Rumble last year, and they did that standoff of Jade and Bianca. But then a plot twist actually happened where they actually made them a tag team, which was fun year to have them as a tag team. They won the women tag belts, and they're having a fun little reign. And then now they're doing this story with Bianca, Naomi, and Jade. They did the Jade and Naomi match at WrestleMania, and I wouldn't be surprised if they even continue this Jade and Naomi story, maybe do a trilogy. But I do think at some point Bianca will be involved in this story. That's why, in my opinion, this is why Io Sky retained at WrestleMania here, is so Bianca can go mess with that story. Because if they would have had Bianca win the belt you know, and then she can't really go back into this Bianca Naomi story. And I think they want to kind of put her back in, and then I think something will happen where, you know, they'll, you know, Bianca and Jade will finally butt heads. We'll see this dream match again. I know I keep saying this, but another money match they could do. Jade, Bianca going at it, but I don't think this will be for any title, right? Because, you know, last year was actually the first year we got a women's single match without a title, which was Jade and Naomi, what I'm just talking about. And if there's a match big enough that doesn't need a title and the story could carry, it's 100% Bianca and Jade. This doesn't even need a title or anything. Let the story just go. Let the story carry this match, and they're both powerhouse women. This match will absolutely cook. I'm predicting this. This is probably the one I'm most confident on out of all my picks here for WrestleMania 42, because I feel like they've been teasing this for a hot minute since Jade even entered WWE. So, yeah, this is what I'm going for my first women's match. Alright, so back to another men's match here. I just want to say, I'm not doing this in, like, any, like, match order. Like, I don't think this is how the order of the matches are going to go. Obviously, I just made a list on my phone of my predictions, and they're just kind of all over the place. So I'm sorry for bouncing between men's, women's, the most random belt-to-belt matches, because that's just how I'm going down my phone. So I know this is going to be random, but I'm actually bouncing to the men's IC title here, and I'm going to go Sheamus versus Dragunov. For one, if you didn't know, the IC title is the only belt Sheamus needs to become a Grand Slam champion. Obviously, they've been teasing this for years. They keep putting him in these IC title matches, but he never wins it, right? We had the Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre men's triple threat match at WrestleMania 39, which absolutely cooked. So some people thought he was going to win it there. They didn't do it there. And then, you know, he's been going for it ever since then. Like, they just keep putting him in these IC title stories. But you know, it doesn't happen. Sheamus versus Gunther matches, it just never happens. But what I'm thinking is, somebody come in mind, Sheamus versus Dragunov for the IC title. Now, hear me out, right? Dragunov got obviously injured, right, during that, like, Ricochet feud or whatever. And then obviously it was a bad injury. He was going to be gone for like a year, which is why I missed this year's WrestleMania. But they have confirmed that JD and Dragunov are both good to return, as we've seen on Raw after Mania. JD return. If JD return, that's mean Dragunov can return anytime. So I think he will return here in the next few weeks, in my opinion. And I think they can even set him up to win the IC title. Because if you just think about all the NXT stars that got, you know, moved up from last year, right? The group is Braun, Tiffy, Dragunov, and Carmelo Hayes. Every single one, half of them won the title, right? Braun won a title, Tiffy won a title. Carmelo Hayes hasn't won a title. Triple H hasn't been kind of, you know, I feel like a little more harsh and mean to him, and kind of hasn't done as much with him. But he's in a team with The Miz, and he won the Battle Royale. So they all won something at least, right? Dragunov, I think he did plan on him winning something, but then obviously the injury, so that's not Triple H's fault. So what I'm thinking is they bring Dragunov back. I'm not saying he's going to verse Dirty Dom immediately, even dethrone Dirty Dom, but in this, you know, next year coming up to WrestleMania, they will put him in the IC title, you know, contender area, and he will win it. I don't know who he will dethrone it from, but I think he will win it. And then I think what happens is we get Dragunov versus Sheamus, right? Sometime before WrestleMania, Sheamus is going to come out to Dragunov, and I don't think this will be like a beef thing, right? I don't see one of them being the heel or a face or anything, babyface. I just feel like Sheamus is going to come out of respect and be like, hey, Dragunov, I respect you, but this is the only belt I need to become a Grand Slam champion. So they're going to set up this match, and like I said, you don't really need them to have beef, because they're both absolutely insane inside the ring. Sheamus will literally bleed. Dragunov will literally bleed for 10 out of 10 matches. So I think these two going at it will put a, you know, Sheamus's words here, banger after banger after banger. I think this match will be a banger. It will cook. And I think Dragunov losing to Sheamus here won't hurt Dragunov's career, Sheamus being a legend. So I think this is a big WrestleMania moment. Sheamus finally winning the IC title, finally becoming a Grand Slam champion. This will be an insane WrestleMania moment. They could put on a 10 out of 10 match with the insane WrestleMania moment. I'm predicting this. I think this would be my craziest call-up. I don't know why I have a feeling. I just feel like these two in a ring together would absolutely cook at WrestleMania. And like I said, Sheamus just needs to be in the IC title contenders match to win, you know, become a Grand Slam champion. And, you know, he missed this year's WrestleMania, so I don't see him missing another WrestleMania card. This is the perfect match for him. Triple H, make it happen. So let's go back to another women's match here, and I feel like maybe this will be a crazy take. I feel like Tiffy will actually hold on to her belt all the way to WrestleMania 42. I know that would be crazy. That's going to be insane long reign. But if there's any girl that could hold on to a belt that long, there's only two girls right now like the fans will constantly love and won't get bored of. Is Rhea Ripley and Tiffy. Even Rhea is starting to get hate. I don't know why. People are like, oh, she's Rhea Hogan. I don't know. Fans are just fans. But like, when Rhea still comes out, the crowd still pops like crazy. Even Tiffy. So, a match I have in mind, and a woman that actually missed WrestleMania this year, but shouldn't have, definitely with her crazy return at Royal Rumble, the biggest pop out Royal Rumble would be Alexa Bliss. Tiffany Stratton versus Alexa Bliss for the Women's WWE Championship belt. I think this is when you finally give Alexa Bliss another belt. This is when Tiffy would lose her belt at this year's WrestleMania, but a Tiffany Stratton and Alexa Bliss match would absolutely cook. They're both amazing in the ring, and like I said, there's a lot you could do with the story here. And I'm just trying to think of, like, I don't know, maybe just another blonde, I guess, popped in my mind to verse Tiffy since she just versed Charlotte. And the first other big blonde that popped in my mind was Alexa Bliss. But I think since Triple H did her dirty this year, like I said, she got the biggest crowd this year at Royal Rumble, and then he did her dirty. I think she deserves, the WWE Championship spotlight and deserves to even win the belt. And let her have an insane reign next year, and, push her, bro. Push her, Alexa Bliss, because she's amazing. She deserves it. She's good on the mic. She has a good character. She's a good wrestler. This will be a fun match. So, yes, here's our second women's match, Tiffy versus Alexa Bliss. All right, bouncing back to a men's match here, I got Seth Rollins versus, Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker versus Fraxium, which is Nathan, and Axiom. If you didn't know, the SmackDown that just happened, as I'm recording this, SmackDown just happened. Nathan Frazier and Axiom just got moved up to SmackDown, and Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker obviously just created another group. Now, we don't know how much other members will be added into this group, but the ones we obviously have confirmed is Seth, Braun, and Paul. Obviously, Paul doesn't wrestle. So, my opinion, if Seth wants to be on the top, I think they will be going for the tag titles. And I think a good one will be Seth and Braun trying to take the tag titles from Fraxium, actually. I think Fraxium will actually win it at some point on SmackDown. Knowing this, I feel like the men's SmackDown titles change a lot more than the Raw men's titles right now, so I feel like Nathan and Axiom could very easily win those on SmackDown. I know the fans are going to love them. If you watch NXT, they're literally like the best tag team I've ever seen in my life, and I'm saying that in them that young in their career, or that earlier in that WWE career, and I just love them. They put on some of my favorite matches, so I do think in a year they'll win those titles, kind of like a Tiffy in a year won her WWE Championship belt, Money in the Bank, and in that. But yeah, I'm excited for them on the main roster. But anyways, people say that Nathan Frazier is pretty much the new Seth Rollins, because he's actually Seth Rollins' mentor in the way he wrestles and everything. So I think you could have some story there. But also, I do think at some point Seth and Braun will be, going to SmackDown by the end of this year. I don't think they'll stay on Raw after Mania, in my opinion. I think SmackDown needs the help. If the Seth is really the new #1 guy in wrestling, as Paul said, I think you got to move him to SmackDown and just, let, Roman and CM Punk and the others stay at Raw there. But I know this is probably some random to some people, but hey, if you're predicting a year away, sometimes you just got to throw the most random matches together, right? You can't, I know a lot of people are thinking, wait, what? But Seth is kind of feuding with CM Punk and Roman right now. Yes, they are, but this is a year away. I don't know if Seth and Roman will be, having this feud for a whole year. Now, it's obviously possible. It has happened many times, but in my opinion, you just got to throw some Hail Marys if you're going to predict WrestleMania a year away. This is going to be one of my Hail Mary ones, but Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Braun and Seth for the SmackDown men's tag titles. That's just me. What do you guys think? All right, so now we're going to go to the Women's Heavyweight Championship. In my opinion, Rhea Ripley being Rhea Ripley before WrestleMania 42, I think she will win the Women's Heavyweight Championship belt back. But who will be her opponent? In my opinion, and again, like I said, I'm going to be throwing some Hail Marys here. I think Roxanne Perez. Now, again, someone else that got done dirty this year. For her being big this year on NXT and the main roster, SmackDown and Raw, she was literally big on all three brands, which is like hard to do, right? She was doing crazy stories on NXT, obviously as her main story, but she even had that little story on Raw, you know, beating Raquel and, you know, going to Elimination Chamber, and then obviously they've been putting her on SmackDown a lot, and just with her not getting a match at Stand and Delivered or WrestleMania is insane to me, where she was able to go all three different brands and still put on bangers and still the crowd go crazy for her. It's just crazy to me. But anyways, yeah, Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. I think Roxanne deserves the spotlight. Definitely what she was, like I said, she was done dirty this year. Two events she could have been on. I think this is when you do that. And they kind of, you know, tease the Rhea Ripley and Roxanne stuff on Raw after Mania. You know, Roxanne came out and attacked, you know, Io and Stephanie, and Rhea came out and saved them. So I think you could easily do a Rhea Ripley Roxanne. Again, Hail Mary. The only story I'm going off of is the Raw after Mania. Again, I'm just going to be using the Raw after Mania and SmackDown after Mania a lot, because these are the only two shows I really, you know, have to go off of a year away, obviously. And I don't know. I think this would be a fun match. I don't know if Roxanne wins, you know, actually dethrones Rhea Ripley. But either way, I think she deserves to be in the spotlight. And I think, you know, they're kind of, I think they will push Roxanne the way they pushed Tiffy last year. You know, Tiffy moved up on the main roster. She missed WrestleMania. She missed Stand and Delivered as soon as they moved her up. But after, you know, WrestleMania, they pushed her like crazy. They had her win Money in the Bank. Then they had her cash in. They actually had the cash in be, you know, good, you know, actually worked, you know, dethroned Nia, got the belt there, and then she had, you know, a same good match against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 41 here. I could see the same kind of storyline with Roxanne Perez. I don't know if she'll win the Money in the Bank or anything, but I could definitely see Roxanne this year winning either the Women's Royal Rumble or Women's Elimination Chamber to verse Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 42, which would be a fun one. Alright, and then we actually got a big group match here, which was actually considered this year at WrestleMania, but, you know, it got pushed away because, you know, I guess they just didn't want to do it, and with the Wyatt Six being injured, Wyatt Six versus the Judgment Day, those are like their two biggest groups right now. I think the only other bigger group that will happen will probably be Seth Rollins' new group, but we don't know any other members or if there will be any new members yet, so we can't really, I really don't want to put him in a faction match, I guess, yet. But anyways, if you didn't know, Judgment Day versus Wyatt Six was considered this year, but it just didn't happen. I guess they wanted Darty Dom to go win his title. Wyatt Six got injured a lot, you know. That's wrestling, you know, being a sport that never takes breaks. Injuries are gonna happen, plans are gonna change. But I honestly think you could literally build this matchup I think you could do this for a whole year too. They're big enough groups where you can have them, you know, feuding with each other for a whole year, and then you can have a crazy big match at WrestleMania. Or if they don't do this at WrestleMania, I was also thinking this too. This could maybe even be a War Games match. Judgment Day versus the Wyatt Six, which would be very fun. But I think this match, it would more likely happen at WrestleMania, just because I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if they would be big enough to be the men's main event Survivor Series match, if that makes sense, right? Like, they're still big groups, but like how can you compare to like last year with like Roman Reigns and the whole Bloodline versus Solos, the new Bloodline and stuff? I'm just trying to compare it to that. But yeah, if they just, I feel like two of their biggest groups currently, factions in WWE, just go at it. Would be fun. Like I said, since they already thought about it anyways, why not them just delay it to next year's WrestleMania? Who knows? Like I said, I'm really just basing this off of them saying they wanted to do it this year, and I'm just kind of like pushing it a year later. Maybe this is one of my lazier predictions, but I would love to see this match. Alright, and now we have the Men's World Heavyweight Championship match on Raw here. And this is probably going to be the biggest Hail Mary y'all ever see in a predictions video. And I just put these four men together. Yes, a fatal four-way. I guess I kind of spoiled that. But I think this would be insane. Now, a lot of people are going to hate this. Let me pull up my phone here because it's four names. So make sure I remember the four names right. Logan Paul. Now, listen. As soon as I said that, I guarantee half of y'all just clicked off the video. At some point, whether you hate him or not, Logan Paul is going to be pushed into the main event scene, the WWE Championship scene as well. There's no way they don't put him in the World Heavyweight Championship title at some point. I'm not saying he would win this match. I don't think he would win this match, but he is going to be in that scene at some point. I mean, he already was, right? He versed Cody Rhodes for Cody Rhodes' belt, but obviously Logan lost. So, listen, whether you like him or not, he is a good wrestler. He's going to be put in these scenes, and I think he deserves it. But versus Damian versus Drew versus LA Knight, right? Because there's a lot you can work with here, right? Logan and LA Knight have beef. Damon and Drew have beef. And if you read online right now, they're saying they want to push Drew in the main event and World Heavyweight Championship scene this year. So obviously, if they want to push him there you go. And, LA Knight losing the U.S. title now, I feel like now it's time to move him up. Whether, I'm not the biggest fan of LA Knight, but just being a wrestling fan, once, past the U.S., the mid-title card belts, that's obviously when you get pushed to the world, the big boy belts, I guess you could say, if you're popular with the fans. Obviously, whether I like him or not, LA Knight, 90% of the fan base loves LA Knight. So I think Drew and LA Knight will finally get that big push to the World Heavyweight Championship belt. Damien, I feel like this Damien couldn't miss this card, so I just kind of thought of the Damien and Drew match. And like I said, Logan Paul, I think at some point needs to, be put in this match. I don't know. Fatal 4, there at least has to be one Fatal 4-way, in my opinion, on this card. Fatal 4-ways always cook. This is the Fatal 4-way I'm choosing for the Men's World Heavyweight Championship. Logan, Damien, Drew, LA Knight. Like I said, biggest Hail Mary I probably will ever say on this channel, but if this happens, y'all all each got to send me $10 if you like this video. That's all I'm saying. Alright, and now y'all are probably saying, alright, Bailey, where's Randy Orton? Because you didn't do Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, so where's Randy Orton's go on this card? Now, this might be a demotion from the WWE's championship belt, because this match I'm about to say is for no belt at all. But as we know, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens was supposed to happen this year at WrestleMania. Obviously, sadly, due to Kevin Owens needing neck surgery, this match got canceled. If you didn't know, Kevin Owens, if he does come back, will at least be over a year. So no matter what, he's missing WrestleMania 42, right? No matter how good the surgery goes or whatnot, it's at least over a year. So he'll be missing WrestleMania 42. But if they want to continue the story, who is Kevin Owens' best friend? Sami Zayn, also a guy that missed this year's WrestleMania card, so I don't see him missing back-to-back WrestleMania cards. I think a Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn match would absolutely cook, and there's a lot you could work with that story. I think by the end of, this year, I guess, before WrestleMania 42, I do believe Sami Zayn will turn heel. I wouldn't even be surprised if he turns heel on Jey Uso and they do a Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn, for the World Heavyweight Championship belt. So I think they kind of do that story too. Definitely Raw after Mania. He did look a little sus to me. He was looking at Jey a little sus, and I think we can get a heel turn from Sami Zayn. If a babyface Randy Orton versus a heel Sami Zayn, like I said, you can work the match with, maybe you can have, like, Sammy blame Randy for Kevin Owens, having neck surgery, even though, obviously it wasn't Randy's fault. But being a heel, he could just randomly blame Randy. You can work with that. Like, Sammy can come out, hey, you're the reason why Kevin Owens has to miss over a year of wrestling. That's my best friend. Kind of go crazy. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just going based off the Kevin Owens story, him being Kevin Owens' best friend. And, this is how you get Sami Zayn, back on the WrestleMania scene here, and Randy Orton would, I think him and Sammy would have good in-ring chemistry, so this would be a fun match. Alright, so now we're going to go for the women's tag titles. I think they will be defended again on WrestleMania. And the first name that comes to mind, a big popular tag team, and there's rumors of them supposedly, they're supposed to return since Royal Rumble, which is the Bella Twins. After Nikki Bella returned at the Royal Rumble, the Bella Twins are actually supposed to return. There's even talks of them returning at WrestleMania, or even just Nikki Bella herself. There's rumors of Nikki Bella versus Chelsea Green for the U.S. title championship belt, but that never, obviously happened. But supposedly the Bella Twins are supposed to be coming back, right? I think they will put, the Bella Twins in those women tag team realm, I guess you could say. Like, there's not really big woman tag teams out there, right? Like, it's hard to find what good, popular, I guess, crowd loving. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. It is currently 5 a.m. when I'm recording this video, so that was probably the worst sentence I've ever said in my life. But anyways, who I think the Bella Twins will be versing for the women tag team title belts here would be Asuka and Kairi Sane. As you know, Asuka and Kairi Sane are supposed to be returning soon. And, obviously in them being, the Kabuki Warriors, a Bella Twins versus Kabuki Warriors match, I think would be fun and would absolutely cook. I know this might be a little random, but, like, Kabuki Warriors, I think once they return from injury, will be getting their push again. Because before the injury happened, Triple H really was pushing the Kabuki Warriors like crazy, and then sadly Asuka got injured, and then Kairi Sane got injured. That's why they're putting Kairi with Io, but then Kairi got injured or whatever. Excuse me. But I think these are two big woman tag teams right here going at it for the belts. This would be a fun match. And talking about Io Sky and her friends, obviously we can't leave Io Sky off the WrestleMania card. And I think a belt that she'll be going for, being on the Raw brand, I think she'll stay on the Raw brand, is actually the IC title. So I think she'll be going for the IC title belt to add to her collection of her already amazing career at WWE. But who's a woman that can't be left off a card that could also want, another title to her amazing career? Liv Morgan herself. We've seen Liv Morgan and Io Sky already go at it at Saturday night's main event earlier in the year. For Liv's women's championship belt there. So we already know that match absolutely cooked. We already know they both are really good in the ring wrestlers. They have really good chemistry. And I think these are two women that deserve, to both be on a belt match, especially Liv Morgan. I know Io Sky has been pushed like crazy. The last 2 years she's been in a women's championship match. But definitely, Liv Morgan definitely deserves to be in a women's single titles match this year. I don't think it'll be either the women's championship or the women's world heavyweight championship because of my other predictions, obviously, and a lot going on there. But I do think we get Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, and I think they both want to add the IC title, being the newest women's belt to be added to WWE right now. I think they both want them, to be added to their collection. Especially Liv Morgan has like everything the women's could have except the IC title and the women's U.S. Championship, which are the two newest women's belts there. But Io Sky obviously deserves to be in a belt match as well. Like I said, I think they have amazing in-ring chemistry. I wouldn't mind seeing them to go at it again for the IC title. I think that would be a fun one. And then when you think of Liv, right, you think of Becky herself. And what's the title I just named? The U.S. title. Again, I think Becky wants to add, more to her Hall of Fame career. And the U.S. title, I think, is one she wants to be, add to her career. And if you think about it, I do think that if Seth and Braun will be moving to SmackDown, in my opinion, Becky will be joining that faction. So that means Becky will be, going for a SmackDown belt. What's a women's SmackDown belt? U.S. title. One of the newest women's SmackDown belt on SmackDown. I don't even know what I just said. Again, 5 a.m. But anyways, I actually see this being a triple threat match for the women's U.S. title. Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Nia Jax, right? For one, you got that Bayley and Nia Jax beef from this recent year already, SummerSlam and stuff. And, Becky and Bayley have that story of being part of the Four Horsemen, right? So you have a lot to work with here. Obviously Becky and Nia also have beef before Becky, went on vacation or whatever. So I think Bayley and Nia Jax both missing the WrestleMania card. Nia Jax can miss the WrestleMania card every year she wanted to. I could give less of a crap. Please miss it. But whether I don't like her or not, I don't see her missing back-to-back WrestleManias. So how can I fit her on the card? This last few matches I got here: U.S. title, triple threat match. Bayley again, same as Nia. I don't see her missing back-to-back WrestleManias being Bayley. So maybe this is random, but Becky versus Bayley versus Nia. I forgot the name for a second. For the U.S. title, women's U.S. title, there's a good chance it'll happen. All right, I have two matches to go here. Now, we talked about the women's U.S. title, right? Now we got to talk about the men's U.S. title. I don't see this missing the WrestleMania card. And who's a guy that doesn't have many WrestleManias left? And I think you know who I'm talking about. A guy that doesn't want to wrestle past the age of 50, AJ Styles. I think for his last, maybe this will be his last WrestleMania, or maybe he has one more after it, right? He only has a max 2 WrestleManias left. So you have to make these WrestleManias count. And I think he should be going for the U.S. title. But who is a guy that just lost a belt at WrestleMania that should always be in that title championship scene, I guess you could say? Gunther himself, right? If he has, every time he's always has a belt since he's been in WWE. He has, it's crazy. There's not many days where he hasn't been champion. It's either the IC title to the World Heavyweight Championship belt since he got moved up to the main roster, and now he doesn't have a belt. So I could see Gunther being moved to SmackDown, right? And maybe we, at the end of the year, we get an AJ Styles versus Gunther match. And I feel like if AJ Styles, before he retires, should have a match with any wrestler, it should be Gunther, right? Obviously, one of the top stars right now in wrestling, one of the top in-the-ring men's wrestlers right now. I feel like before anybody retires, they just gotta verse Gunther, right? I mean, they might even bring Goldberg back out of retirement just to verse Gunther. I feel like all the wrestlers want Gunther right now with how hot he's being. I think this match would absolutely cook, bro. As we know, AJ Styles is probably the best wrestler of all time, in my opinion. It's either him or Seth Rollins in the ring. In the ring wrestler. Obviously, my goat's John Cena, but if you're talking about in the ring, it's between AJ or Seth. And then Gunther is, he can be in that conversation, obviously, if he keeps putting on these bangers. So, AJ Styles, Gunther match, oh my god, that would cook. That would be a 10 out of 10 classic. I think they got to do this for the U.S. title, because I think Gunther always needs to be in a title scene in some capacity. All right, and my last match, I think, could be on WrestleMania 42. And honestly, this match has a good chance of happening before WrestleMania 42, definitely, because they even literally just teased it before WrestleMania 41, and now just teased it again on SmackDown, would be Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. I think they both deserve to be on the WrestleMania card. Obviously, I don't see Jacob Fatu missing the WrestleMania card with how they've been pushing him since his debut. And Solo, I would feel so bad as Solo, bro, miss another WrestleMania. I think he deserved to be on WrestleMania 39. I think he deserved to be on WrestleMania 40. I think he even deserved to be on WrestleMania 41. I know most people will disagree, but I think he would put in a lot of work for the company. He took, put in a lot of work to lose to Roman there. Obviously, because that kind of did kill him a little bit. His little WWE career, killed the new bloodline. Obviously, it made them look weak and stuff. Losing at War Games and and then Solo losing to Roman on the Raw on Netflix or whatever. I feel like Solo finally needs to get his WrestleMania match, and this is where you do it. In my opinion, I know some people will be like, "Oh my god, I just want to see it already," and maybe they're just delaying it. But like, I wouldn't mind if they just tease Jacob Fatu and Solo this whole next year till WrestleMania, until like a few months ahead of WrestleMania, maybe at like Royal Rumble or something. One of them turn on each other, and then this is when you get Jacob Fatu and Solo. Again, you don't need a title for this match. You can just have the story itself carrying this match. I think would be fun. Yeah, those are all my WrestleMania 42 predictions, and I just want to say, I know there's some wrestlers that probably got left off the card. Yeah, you guys are going, really, Bailey? What are you doing, Bailey? How is this wrestler not on the card? How is this wrestler? Like, I know, but not every wrestler every year is gonna make the card. All right, that's just how it is, right? There's wrestlers that miss this card, right? Like Alexa Bliss, Sami Zayn. There's a few wrestlers that miss it. I know that one comes to mind. You guys are probably thinking of is, where is Jey Uso? Where is Jey Uso? Listen, man, I think he's gonna have a crazy good year, but I think they will. It's gonna be crazy, but I don't know. I feel like he might miss this year's WrestleMania, kind of like a Sami Zayn situation. Sami Zayn had an amazing year, and then they did that injury story. I feel like maybe something with Jey Uso, they'll do some injury story to leave him off the WrestleMania card. Or maybe, right, he goes a while, and then maybe he could be like a good Raw after Mania return if they have him, like, go away before Royal Rumble or something with the injury story with the wrestler, hurting him. He would be a fun Raw after Mania return. Everybody eating the Raw after Mania. Yay, yay. But yeah, like I said, I know I can't put every wrestler on the card. We have to be realistic. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if I probably won't get one match right here. I'm going to be honest. I probably won't. But that's the whole point. And that's the whole fun of this video. Just trying to predict it a year early. If y'all want me to see me, do this video again, maybe like half a year before WrestleMania, I'm down to do that as well. But we'll see. We'll see how it's looking. Maybe we'll keep checking back on this video and see how right we are the closer we get to WrestleMania 42. And maybe I'll do like a video the week before WrestleMania 42 and kind of see how much matches I got right. Like I said, it'll probably be 0, but that's the whole fun. So y'all tell me your WrestleMania 42 1 year early predictions in the comments. That'll be fun. I kind of want to see your guys' predictions as well. And drop a like, sub if you're new, and I'm going to catch y'all in the next one.